Many men are obsessed with becoming impressive. Very few are focused on becoming honorable. And that difference is exactly why so many feel empty even when they achieve things. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms shows us a man with no status, no wealth, no famous name, trying to live by a code in a world that doesn't reward it. And that's what makes it powerful, because if you strip away the fantasy setting, what you're really watching is a test of masculinity under pressure. Not performative masculinity, not social media masculinity, real character. And there are 3 lessons in this story that every man needs to hear, especially in a world that constantly tempts you to compromise. The first lesson is this: you must decide who you are before the world decides for you. Ser Duncan the Tall is not born into greatness. He doesn't have a legendary surname. He isn't trained in a castle from childhood. He is a hedge knight, scraping by, uncertain, learning as he goes. And yet he carries himself with a sense of internal authority. Not arrogance, not delusion, authority. He believes in the idea of knighthood even when others mock him for it. That's important because most men today only act with discipline when there's applause. They only stand tall when they feel validated. They only pursue growth when someone is watching. Dunk doesn't have that luxury. He chooses to behave like a knight, long before the world fully accepts him as one. That is the difference between identity and performance. Performance depends on the audience. Identity exists regardless of it. If you wait for external proof before you raise your standards, you will always be behind. But if you decide who you are first, disciplined, honest, reliable, courageous, then your actions start aligning with that identity. And eventually, the world adjusts around you, not the other way around. The second lesson is that strength without restraint is weakness in disguise. Dunk is physically imposing. He could easily use intimidation to solve problems. But what makes him compelling is that he doesn't rush to prove himself. He hesitates. He thinks. He struggles internally. He questions whether he is good enough. And that self-awareness is not weakness. It's maturity. We live in a culture that confuses loudness with dominance. If someone disagrees with you, you overpower them verbally. If someone challenges you, you escalate. If your ego is touched, you react. But reactive men are predictable, and predictable men are easy to manipulate. Dunk shows something different. His strength is present, but it's not constantly on display. He doesn't swing first to make a statement. He acts when necessary. That difference is critical. Controlled power builds respect. Uncontrolled power builds fear. And fear fades the moment someone stronger walks in the room. The strongest man is not the one who can shout the loudest. It's the one who can remain steady when everyone else is losing control. Emotional discipline is a force multiplier. If you can regulate yourself under pressure, you instantly separate yourself from the average. This doesn't just apply to physical conflict. It applies to business, to relationships, to leadership. If you crumble emotionally every time something doesn't go your way, you will never command trust. But if you remain composed, thoughtful, and deliberate, people begin to lean toward you naturally. The third lesson is that pressure reveals what comfort conceals. When Dunk faces consequences for defending someone weaker than him, the situation escalates beyond his control. He stands against men with more power, more political protection, and more to lose. In that moment, he could retreat, he could rationalize, he could protect himself and walk away. But pressure exposes your true hierarchy of values. When your reputation is on the line, do you protect your image or your integrity? When standing alone feels dangerous, do you conform or do you endure? Most men talk about loyalty until loyalty becomes inconvenient. They talk about principles until principles threaten opportunity. They talk about courage until courage requires sacrifice. What separates Dunk is not that he is fearless. It's that he is willing to endure discomfort for what he believes is right. And that is rare, because discomfort is the filter. It removes the superficial. It strips away performance. It leaves only substance. If you avoid pressure your entire life, you avoid growth. Pressure is not the enemy. It is the forge. It shows you where you are fragile, It exposes the cracks in your discipline. It reveals whether your confidence is real or conditional. You don't need a medieval battlefield to test yourself. You are tested daily when you choose between short-term pleasure and long-term growth. When you choose between silence and speaking truth. When you choose between comfort and self-respect. The world of Westeros is exaggerated, but the internal battles are identical to ours. Status versus character, power versus integrity, reaction versus restraint, image versus identity. If you learn anything from a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, let it be this. You don't become a man when the world crowns you. You become a man when you hold your standards without a crown. Decide who you are before the world labels you. Build strength that is controlled, not chaotic, and welcome pressure as a teacher, not an enemy. Because the man who can stand firm without applause, remain calm without validation, and endure discomfort without losing himself is not average. He is rare, and rare men don't need to announce themselves. The world eventually notices. It's Martainn, sharing knowledge and wisdom